Yeah, Declan, I suppose just starting off, obviously a second All Ireland final in 3 seasons. I suppose the word from a Limerick public point of view and maybe a team point of view was to relax heading into the 2018 final. People were talking a lot about the hype. I suppose it couldn't be more different this year with everything that's going on with COVID and fans not allowed to attend. Has it been a strange build up so far?
Yeah, you're right. It's total opposite, to be honest, to 2018. Like, I mean, first and foremost, we are putting up a Christmas tree there and trying to get ready for an All-Ireland final as well at the same time, which is gas, like, but we're delighted to be back in the final, as you said, the second time in 3 years. I suppose the hype around Limerick in 2018 was massive. There was flags and bunting all over the county, so there was. Even around the city, like, I mean, in 2018, everywhere you went, people wanted to talk about it, whereas this year, you're not going anywhere, you're not meeting anybody. We're at home, working from home as much as we can, like everybody else around the country. So, yeah, totally different, but from a player's point of view, it's quite similar. I suppose you're getting ready as best you can over the next 10 days and ready then to face Waterford on Sunday week.
Has the culture changed much since 2018, Declan? Obviously, it was a first All-Ireland final in a long time, hadn't won the All-Ireland in 45 years. It was a very young team. You were obviously the leader of the team then and the leader now. These young players are maybe still young, but so much experience now under the belt. Has there been a big change since 2018, do you think?
I don't know if there's been a massive change. I suppose lads have, as you said, they're really young, but they're massively experienced, even playing minor Munster finals, All-Ireland finals, under-21 finals, always up along, they've been in big games. So, like, I learned a massive amount from all of those guys as well that came up from the ranks of minor under-21 and into the senior setup as well. But, like, as you said, they've all taken on leadership roles throughout the last number of years, and they continue to do so. Like, new lads popping up the whole time who take on responsibility at training and during matches, they make big plays. So, like, it's a massive team effort and panel effort, and that's what we pride ourselves on.
Just finally from me, Declan, I remember going into work during lockdown and sport was absent and sport wasn't allowed to take place. I'd often see you jogging and keeping fit, or I'd pass you in the car, you'd be jogging. Was Croke Park in the mind even back then?
Yeah, it was. Like, I'd say I was struggling a few times. I met going up that hill near Live 95 FM. But yeah, it was. Like, I mean, we earlier on in the summer, like, we didn't know if there was going to be any championship, but at the back of your head, you were preparing as if there was one. So, like, I mean, those jogs and bits of work you were doing on your own throughout the lockdown, there was always a goal at the back of your head. So, look, we're delighted.
Thanks, Declan.
Declan, you've had a few days to reflect on that victory over Galway, 27 points to 24. Now that you've had time to take it in, how was that performance? Are you pretty happy with it?
Yeah, delighted with the result. Like, Galway are a massively physical team. Like, at the last number of times we played against them, there's been very few scores in it. Again, the same the last day. I suppose there was a lot of bodies around the middle of the pitch as well. It was a tough game. I wouldn't say we were delighted with our performance. Like we set ourselves, I suppose, high targets that we didn't meet. The last, unfortunately, with a lot of, I suppose, we created a lot of chances that we just didn't convert, and like we'd be hoping to up the next day against Waterford. But like these games at this time of the year, they're there to be won, and that up the line by a point, 2 points, 3 points, whatever it was, we were going to take it.
And it'll be a bigger test, Declan, Waterford or Galway?
Say it again.
Who would you say pushed you closer, Waterford or Galway?
Well, like, I mean, both of them were very even. Those both games, there was nothing in it. Like, and I suppose different teams. I suppose Waterford play a lot of running game, whereas Galway might be more route one. Massive physicality in both the games. I suppose, like, Waterford in the Munster final was a real dogged affair as well, and it was the same against Galway, I suppose, in lots of respects. So, look, I don't know, every game we go out to play, it's very, very tight. There's nothing between any of these teams, and I suppose, like, going into the Munster final, it was strange. Like, there was a lot of talk that Limerick could win by 10 or 12 points, like, but like, there's nobody going to hand you a Munster title, and Waterford put us to the pin of our collars, and they'll do that, no doubt, the next day again.
Is it hard to play a team again you've already beaten psychologically?
Yeah, I suppose it is, but I suppose we're kind of a bit more used to it with the round robin over the past number of years, where you're meeting these teams a lot more often. So we have that experience as well to draw on.
Declan, the symbol you have on the back of the jersey, sort of a Celtic design. Could you tell us what that's about?
Ask me again in 2 weeks, Shane.
Okay. And What's it like building up for this one with having the 2 weeks rather than the 3 week break? Is any of that stuff make a difference to you?
I don't think so. I suppose in terms of recovery, like the 2 week or the 3 weeks is probably better, but like the way things are at the minute, you'll take, if it's a week's time you have to recover to get ready for an All-Ireland final, you'll just go and do it. As I said earlier, we're delighted to be in it. It's totally different. Like as I said, we're not meeting anybody. We're at home all the time working. It's strange, but you know we're happy out to be there.
And how impressed were you by Waterford and their trajectory this season?
Yeah, massively impressive. So they have been all year, like in all of their games. I don't think they've lost the whole fight in league or championship since the start of the year. But like Waterford were in the All-Ireland final in 2007 as well. Like, you know, it's not as if you become a bad team overnight or anything like that. And I suppose 18 and 19 just didn't go their way. And we in Limerick know how years can go by very, very quickly with very few wins. And it can change very, very quickly as well. And like Liam Cahill has done a serious job with them. And you know, they were very, very impressive against Kilkenny last day to come back from the number of points they were down at half time against a team like Kilkenny. You know, you'd have to tap your hat to them.
Declan, you mentioned the build-up being different, but apart from that, you're not coming in this time waiting 45 years either. That has to make a difference.
I suppose it does. Like I suppose we're more experienced now of playing in these bigger games, whereas in 18 it was a lot of our first times playing in semi-finals or All-Ireland finals in Croke Park. Like, but again, it's going to be different this year with no crowds there. In 18 there was just the noise around Croke Park, and even with the supporters driving into the stadium was unbelievable. It gave you a big boost. Whereas that's not going to be there this time, and I'm sure it's massively disappointing for Waterford supporters as well as Limerick supporters. You know, they're both magnificent to get behind the team, and there'll be thousands upon thousands travelling from Munster to Croke Park on Sunday if it was possible. So look, that's going to be different as well. It's going to be really quiet in Croke Park from the All-Ireland final, which is very, very strange.
Declan, it's a boost to have the entire squad allowed back in Croke Park and have all the panel there with you on the day.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like, I mean, I know John was very vocal about it there over the past couple of weeks, and you know, as players, we want all the lads that we're training with to be there on match day as well. And that goes for the backroom team as well. There's, like, you know ourselves, there's a huge number of people involved in backroom squads. There could be the ones of 30 people there as well, and they put in a massive effort as well off the field, and hours upon hours of work that goes unnoticed by a lot of people. But you know, they're a massive part of our group, and I think it's great that everybody can go there on Sunday week.
Declan, does it make it easier playing in an All-Ireland final when you don't have, you know, the usual build-up? You're not meeting as much fans on the street. You've all the little extra things that you won't have this year.
I wouldn't say it's easier, no. Like, I mean, as players, again, like, your job is to go onto the pitch in the best possible shape you can and to put in the best performance you can. Like, I mean, we said in 2018 as well that supporters being there is brilliant, but at the end of the day, it's down to the players to perform on the pitch, and you know, if you don't do that, you won't win. So from our point of view, we're fully focused on getting a performance this Sunday week.
Back to the Munster final, what areas of the game did Waterford make it difficult for you? So they obviously ran you very close.
Today, I suppose their intensity that they brought to that game was unbelievable. It was probably the first time all year that we'd met anything like it. And you know, the attacking numbers, the defending numbers, they're unbelievably skillful on the ball. Like, you look at Stephen Bennett at the minute, you give him a yard or two and he'll punish you, like same as Desiree Hutchinson and all these lads. So I think their intensity they brought, their work rate, and you know, they're the team. You know, they're a real unit at the minute, and it's very hard to break that.
Declan, there was a lot made about the last few years, the poor record of Munster champions in All-Ireland semi-finals. Was the fact that there wasn't a 5-week break, just 2-week break, was that easier for you?
Yeah, it probably was. I think the 5-week break is massively long. Like, for anybody, you know, coming out of a Munster championship and waiting 5 weeks to play a semi-final is a really, really long time. But like, that's the way it's been, I suppose, for a long time as well throughout the years, and teams have gotten on with it. I suppose we last year got caught against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland semi-final. They ran riot against us in the first 20 minutes, and you know, we just couldn't get it back. So I think the 2 to 3 weeks leading to the All-Ireland final is brilliant. From a player's point of view, it's exciting. You know, it's 3 weeks of hard training and off you go.
Declan, how much of a part do you think goals is going to play in the final? That might be the one little thing that you might be looking to build on throughout the championship so far this season.
Yeah, I suppose we haven't hit the back of the net on too many occasions this year, whereas Waterford the last day against Kilkenny and against Clare, you know, have been firing in goals in a lot of their games. So, like, goals do win matches, but like, these games take shape of their own or a life of their own, and like, if the goal chance is on, we obviously go for it, and if it's not, you take or score and see where it takes you. But yeah, look, if a goal chance presents itself the next day, we'll be hoping that the boys up there will do the job and finish it off.
And listen, you know, Waterford coming into this match, obviously they almost have the same motivation that you had a couple of years ago with going so long, having won the title. You know what their motivation will be. Is it very different for you coming into this final almost with the tag of the favourites and trying to do that?
I suppose it is. Like, I mean, in 2018, everybody in Ireland, I suppose, wanted Limerick to win bar if you were from Galway, and I suppose this year it'll be everybody in Ireland wants Waterford to win bar if you're from Limerick. Like, so it's a total reversal for ourselves. But again, like it's down to us to focus on our preparation and get to the pitch in the best possible shape and to put in a performance on the day. And if it's good enough, it's good enough. And if it's not, well then it's not. But like, we'll be doing everything in our power to get that All-Ireland final win on Sunday week.
Declan, has Aaron been back in training yet?
Aaron has not been back in training yet, but we only met briefly. So no, but he was there all right.
You'd expect him to be able to train next week?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think it was just precaution going to the hospital, so he seems fine.